Rebel had sprained his paw while inspecting train tracks in Pup Pup Boogie. This is the first time a pup was hurt in the series, and I'll cover all the other times a pup was hurt or even sick in Paw Patrol. Next is in Pup Save a Basketball game, where Mayor Humdinger's basketball team trips Rocky and Zuma, leaving Rocky with a sprained paw and Zuma with a swollen tail, the second and third injuries in the series. Luckily, EMT Marshall is on the scene, though he gives Zuma the cone of shame unnecessarily, which you'll see him do again soon. Here in Pup Save a Sniffle, an iconic episode, Chase is the first to come down with the cold, confirmed by EMT Marshall at the mission briefing. Also during that briefing, Sky's powerful sneeze signifies her cold, and Zuma comes down with a cold as well.
If I'm ill, I better chill.
This meant Rubble and Rocky were left to go on the mission, as Marshall took care of the sick pups with Katie's assistance. You can see customized tissue boxes for each pup, which is a little detail I had enjoyed. But while Rocky was on the job, he came down with a cold too. This was foreshadowed earlier in this scene.
You'd be a big help if you could get me a bowl of water. My throat's a little scratchy.
A small detail, but with a big meaning. At the end of the episode, after Ryder and Rebel return, Marshall comes down with a cold too. Ryder also sneezes, which may imply he caught their cold as well, but we don't know for sure. This leaves Rebel as the only member of the original 7 in that episode to not have a cold. On to Pup Save a Show, where the pups are cast in Mayor Goodway's play. But once again, Chase showed signs of an illness of sorts. First while practicing for the play, secondly during the mission briefing, again at the scene of the mission, done one last time, which is followed by Ryder asking this.
You sound a little hoarse.
No, I'm just a little pup.
Marshall confirms that Chase has a cold and is losing his voice. Marshall then demands Chase stays at the lookout, so Chase goes back to the lookout and is cared for by Katie. They both watch Marshall take over Chase's role in the play. Now there's Pup Save Sky, one of the series' most iconic episodes. She hurts one of her paws when she crash lands during a snowstorm. She damages her pup pack wings and loses her pup pack, which means she can't get proper medical attention until the end of the episode. EMT Marshall informs her that her paw is sore, but she didn't break it, and as I mentioned earlier, he gives her the cone of shame even though she didn't need it. She is the 4th pup in the series to get hurt. By the way, if you want to commend Marshall for all the work he's done so far, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Then in Pup Save a Soccer game, the Paw Patrol plays against Mayor Humdinger and his kittens, but he plays a dirty trick using gophers to create holes which would purposely trip up the pups. Sky and Rebel specifically tripped it, which gave them swollen paws, the 5th and 6th injuries of the show. Luckily, EMT Marshall came to the rescue once again. Later in the episode, the two were able to go back into the game and play. Here in Paired in Pups, Rocky wheezes at the very start of the episode. Marshall then gives Rocky a checkup and diagnoses him with a scratchy throat. This leads Rocky to losing his voice later in that episode, meaning he can't control his pup pack. This is the only episode on the list where a pup gets their diagnosis but doesn't affect anything until later on. That moment is when Matea, Carlos's parrot, imitates Rocky and unscrews the platform the pups built. Only Rocky can activate his pup pack, so you can see the issue, though Matea manages to use her imitation skills to screw the screws back in. Now, in the Pups Winter Wonder show, Tracker tries snowboarding at Drake's Mountain, but he loses control and rolls down the hill in a snowball. After he gets out, he says his paw is sore and hurts too much to stand on. Marshall, surprisingly, isn't here to give it an inspection, though it must get somewhat better, as by the time of the concert, he can stand on it. The pups who were hurt the most are Rebel and Sky, with 2 times each. Zuma, Rocky, and Tracker were both only hurt once each, and Chase and Everest have never suffered an injury. The only pup to be sick twice is Chase, with all the other pups and maybe Ryder getting sick just once. If you've enjoyed this video, check out that one chosen just for you. And as always, I'll see you next time.